So this is mixed reality. It's also called spatial computing. And this particular product, the Magic Leap, I also work with the HoloLens. So today we've been working here at the Ovahouse with both Magic Leap and HoloLens, which is a Microsoft product. What it is that when I put this on, I put it over my head like this, sits over my eyes, and I can still see you. I have a piece of glass in front of me, which displays holographic images. And it's just a little screen, but what I see in my world is 3D holograms in front of me. So what we're trying to represent here is a hologram of the scenery for the production that we're looking at today, which is great.
I found working with the mixed reality really interesting, actually. To be able to go into the space and see the set that you're going to be playing on is wild, because then you take that knowledge back into the rehearsal room and you go, oh, okay, actually, I need to fill this much space instead of this tiny little box room that I'm used to performing in. You know, I've got all these other things to play with and to work with, especially parts of the set that you physically have to interact with.
I think it's a really fascinating tool at the minute. I think there's pros and cons to it, because you've already, as a designer, you've already got this argument of having CGI design versus the physical set of a model box to play with. And there's pros and cons to both of that. I think where this technology goes is that next level up for CGI, where you can actually physically be in that space and kind of feel what that is, which you can't really get from either of the current options, I think.
Would I be to the side? Would I be in the middle? You know, just thinking about that sort of thing as well. Yeah. Where's the best position for me to stand? And what's going to be comfortable signing? How big can I go before I kind of like hit the top?
Do you want to try doing it?
Yeah. When I first put these goggles on, I did feel a bit like disorientated, but then I kind of got used to it, and I really saw every like little detail, it felt like, of the set, like the corners, the floor. Yeah, it was amazing.
Hard to tell. I think for today it was really interesting to be able to kind of see the set in the space and to visualise such specific bits, like exactly where the end of the stage is, and sort of go through that, because even though you see it in the model box, it is very useful to be able to stand there.
I think that's the biggest plus to it that's really interesting to play with, and I think how you use this as a tool is where you can bring that in, and the other creatives and actors and directors around you can actually feel that, and they can make changes to the decisions based on that.
You could use the technology in so many different ways and do so many different things with it, which would aid the design process, and specifically, I'm always thinking in terms of myself, my design process more.
Whereas using it as an initial design tool, I think I'd want to use it a lot sooner in the game to play around with. I think the potential for having physical model boxes is really, all the positives to that are really great, and it's having something very textural and physical that you can bring in right at the beginning with the director and with any of the other creatives that you end up working with.
Yeah, it's like anything nowadays. Like one of the amazing things with technology is if you're visiting somewhere new or even somewhere you've been before, you can go online and just see what it is. Like, do you know what I mean? See what it looks like, see what the area is. And this is exactly that. Yeah. Yes, I've seen this space before, but at the moment, this is the other show. To actually see the set before because the next time I come in here, it will be in costume. Someone saying, right, we're starting from the top, and it's like, okay, I think.
And you've already done your workshopping.
Exactly.
So now, when you're doing your workshopping, I don't know where you're up to in the process, but I'm assuming that you're still working anyway.
Yes, yeah.
So now you can go back into that process with the director and have that in your mind.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic because our entire design team can be standing here wearing these. We have 3 of them today. And they can walk around the space, they can see the scenery, we can interact with it, we can turn bits on and off. We kept it very simple today. Eventually we're hoping we can expand it so we could operate maybe the lighting in it, we could maybe move scenery with an automation control system. We could actually start to produce an entire production in a visualisation that could be expressed through this. And then we could design an entire production in a way that we can't do at the moment unless we have it physically in the space, which is challenging because by then it's already built, you can't make changes. But with this technology, we can start to address those design concerns really early on in the process.
I think there's definitely very interesting uses for it, and especially in there's interesting uses in the communication in between a designer and a director.
Yeah.
Because I think often as a designer, or like I'll have a very clear idea in my head and then be able to like show sketches or show mood boards or show this or that, but it's often very hard to tell whether that message is coming across exactly as I intend to. And I think if used in that way, it is a very useful tool to be like, this is what I meant by what I've been trying to communicate, because obviously like directors don't necessarily know how to like read lighting plans or know what you're talking about when you're like, oh, there's going to be a profile over there and it's going to do this.
So for this show, I'm assistant stage managing it, so it's interesting to actually see it in the space and to be like, all right, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be doing, and like seeing how the design fits in the world around me.
You sort of have to get used to it, and then slowly you kind of figure out the best way to like hold your head and hold the goggles and hold the thing until eventually you can kind of start working your way through the set and see exactly where it all is.
Ovahouse invites our artists to be experimental and radical in terms of the content that they make.
It would be super valuable to have it somewhere towards the midpoint of your rehearsals. I think if you bring it in too early, you end up getting stuck in your mind by going, oh, this is where the set was when I was there, or this is what I've got to play against, and you kind of lose the idea of playing with the other actors or with smaller props or with your own way of performing, your own style of performing.
It's really useful to see, I think, as a designer. I think for me, at this stage, it didn't change much from the model box, because that was pretty much, in my mind, very clear. And being able to visually see it as a model box was enough for me. So having this technology kind of just confirmed what my design was, and it kind of also preempts that final triumphant moment that you have as a designer, where you have got a model box and then you go into that final tech kind of day and you're like, yes, this is the exact thing, just in real life.
And so it feels right that we should apply the same principles to the process of making theatre, that we should be looking at our own ways of creating new theatre productions. So I think it's really exciting to see it applied at this scale to ensure that artists who aren't working with enormous budgets, don't have money to burn, have to be very careful with the way that they spend their money, have access to this sort of technology, are able to work at the cutting edge of technology.
In our daily lives, this technology is going to start to emerge more. We're already seeing it through our phone technology. You know, smartphones were a big leap for a lot of people, but yet we all adopted them. I can't think of a single person that doesn't have a smartphone, even generations above me. You know, everyone adopted smartphones eventually because it has a benefit to us in our real lives. And this will have the same. You know, there's applications already being developed for this, which makes this feel like something you might almost want to have every day. It's not very ergonomic at the moment, it's a bit ugly, but it's going to get smaller. I reckon about 5 years' time, so probably about 2024, 2025, this will just look like a pair of glasses. So you could wear it out on the street and you won't feel silly about it, it'll just become part of our lives.